Hello and welcome to another edition of D&D Stories. I am your host Rob from the channel Performance Check, and this is the show where I regale you with tales from the hit role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons and sometimes Pathfinder, in particular about the time when something cool happened. Last time, on the story arc known as Star Thief, we saw Theodrex, the Ranger of Hemlon, and Seyrak, the Warrior Monk, continue their mission to spread the word and awe and majesty of the guild known as Star Thief. They had been sent by Star Thief, the individual who bears the moniker of this particular ideology, to hunt down a serial killer that had been loose within the the great floating capital city of Eldarium, and indeed the capital of the entire empire. They had hunted this serial killer to the homes of many imperial members of court, high-ranking members of the imperial court, each that have been slain, each that have been torn apart as if by some beast, for that is how the serial killer is known. While investigating the most recent murder, a portal opened within the victim's study. Theodrex and Seyrak were able to glimpse an image of a terrifying foe lurking within this corridor between realities. Our heroes were able to pursue through this new portal that had appeared and were taken to a barren moor, covered in mist and sparkling with lights, each of these lights opening to reveal portal after portal after portal. And after a dramatic combat, this beast, this creature, this astral stalker, was brought low by an amazing trick shot from Theodrex of Hemlon. It was only after this beast was defeated that they realised that they were being watched. For showing himself after a bemused, slow clap was Dracnus, the stranger who had helped Theodrex and Droskor in their battle against the Sacred Dusk in the very first campaign that I'd run with these players and these characters. Dracnus was the man who could transform from the position of a man to the being and form of a powerful red dragon. Dracnus has returned to recover the debt that Theodrex still owes him. What answers will Dracnus have for our heroes, and what will he be asking for in return for Theodrex's debt? And, most importantly of all, what will happen when our heroes are confronted with a decision that will change the shape of this world forever? Let's find out in this, the concluding chapter, Star Thief, Part 4. Theodrex and Seyrak stand before Dracnus, the stranger who has been watching this battle with the astral stalker. He says, "Come, we have much to discuss, and I'm sure we could do it in a more appropriate setting. Follow me." "Where are you going?" says Theodrex. "You could be leading us anywhere. I don't trust you." "If you trust an individual who will send you on a wild goose chase, promoting his guild, his moniker, this Star Thief, you will trust this man who urges you to incite rebellion throughout an entire kingdom, an entire empire." "Yeah, fair point," says Theodrex. And we see Dracnus leading Theodrex and Seyrak through the mists and through this maze of hovering lights in this strange climate, this strange biome. As they are emerging from this fog dotted with twinkling lights, Dracnus says, "You had been brought to Star Realm, the Star Realm. It is a weakness within the walls of this world, the walls of this plane of existence. It would seem that this creature was taking full advantage of the weaknesses, the gaps, to infiltrate deep into the heart of the Empirical. It's an intelligent creature, says Seyrak, and it fought with a wisdom unrivaled by any I've fought before. Dracnis smiles. It is not wisdom in which the Astral Stalker fights. It was conducted to do so by someone else. By someone that we are all familiar with. Starthief. How do you know this to be true? Says Theodrex. I shall show you, says Dracnis, and he motions. Upon a craggy outcrop there is a large structure. It is a stone tower which at the very top divides into 4 points. And balanced seemingly on these 4 points is this large crystalline sphere. Dracnis says, this is a structure known as the Looking Glass. It has been here for many ages. However, recently our friend has seen it fit to occupy this place for his study, for his experiments, and for his stratagem to overthrow the Empire and make himself all-powerful. That's a lot of information, says Theodrex. Come, says Dracnis, smiling. I shall explain. 2 large double doors swing open as Dracnis sweeps into this structure known as the Looking Glass. Turning, he sees the sort of guarded looks upon Theodrex's and Seyrak's faces, and he says, trust me, none reside here, and Starthief himself has ceased to visit. But a number of very important documents and plans have been left here. Ideal to show you what he's really up to. He left this unguarded? Said Theodrex. No, not unguarded. There were a number of his followers that resided within here, but I saw it fit to deal with them. Theodrex's eyes drift to the floor, where he notices there's quite a lot of ash on the floor. Quite a lot of ash. And he just looks back to Dracnis and just accepts what he's saying. Dracnis is able to show Theodrex and Seyrak a number of volumes of magical study that have been created by Starthief. A number of plans and ritualistic drawings for certain symbols and shapes. Behold, says Dracnis, this is the life's work of an individual whose name I still cannot find. It's like he's blinked it out from the world. Why would he do such a thing, says Theodrex. Why is the name so important? It is a exploration of the magic and the divine within this world, says Dracnis. It is indeed quite insightful, and it is a matter that I find rather interesting myself. Just explain what you mean, says Theodrex. Well, I would ask you to look to the divine for a moment. If you think of a god, Theodrex, do you understand what gives the god his or her power? Theodrex just shakes his head. Seyrak, however, looks directly to Dracnis and says, I think I have an understanding of this. Enlighten us, said Dracnis. Seyrak looks at Theodrex and says, gods gain their power from being prayed to. It is the recognition, it is the realization of the power that brings it into being. Theodrex rolls his eyes. You mean to say that if enough people believe in you, you can do it? Well, in a sense, says Seyrak. That's how I come to understand it anyway. Dracnis nods. Your friend is right, Ranger. That is the power of which we speak. It is the power that Starthief is attempting to harness. If all of the Empire can behold the name Starthief and revere it, or even fear it, that will give him a power that he is using enchantments to harness. A power that relies on sigilry and symbolism. A symbol that he could paint into the sky. The dawning realization hits TheWriter. They have been firing the symbol of Starthief into the sky so everyone can see it. Everyone could believe in it. Everyone could revere in it. Starthief is trying to ascend to godhood, and we've just been preaching his message. That is correct, says Dracnis. However, it is fortunate that I have decided to step in at this point. Why does it concern you? Says TheWriter. The why should not concern you. Only how you're going to stop him. As I have reminded you, Ranger, you are in my debt, and I have decided to call that debt in now. You will stop Starthief, and you will ensure that the Empire continues to reign over this land. At this point, says TheWriter, I would do anything to ensure I never see you again. I'm flattered, says Dracnis. You should return. You should return to the Empirical. By all means, share with him what you have discovered. Perhaps he will be forthcoming with more information that you could perhaps manipulate to your own advantage. Stranger, Seyrak says, while TheWriter may owe you a debt, I do not. Why should I unmake everything that we have done? While he has been deceptive, Starthief has encouraged change for the good of all. We have stopped incursions from Imperial turncoats. We have ceased bandit raids. We defeated a large gelatinous cube. We have done all of this in the name of Starthief, true, but we've done it in the name of good and helping people. People that the Empire have decided to oppress. Dracnis leans forward. You may think your words wise, monk, but I have seen through the temporal winds what is to come, and if the Empire falls, destruction and death is all that awaits the future of Main Realm. If you have any wisdom about you, you will listen to me, and you will help TheWriter in stopping this threat. The monk just stands there and doesn't answer. I shall be watching, TheWriter, ever so closely. Dracnis saunters to the door. I shall show you out. I have more business here before I leave. TheWriter goes to leave and he says, any advice? Dracnis smiles. Yes. Don't fail. TheWriter and Seyrak begin the long journey. Star Realm, the area of this realm, Eldarium, is to the south of the Empirical, and it will take some days for them to return. And it is on that journey that TheWriter and Seyrak, and indeed Matt and Mike, the players, have a discussion about what they're going to do when they arrive. Are they going to confront Starthief? Are they going to do as Dracnis says and bring a halt to his plan? Surely a human being trying to ascend to some form of godhood should be looked on with fear, great fear. But they find themselves disagreeing on quite a lot of the details and the issues at hand. Mike and Matt, as I have explained, have a bickering rivalry when it comes to these games. It manifested very much so with Theodrex and Droskor, but they always seemed to bridge that with a camaraderie that was sort of in character. Theodrex and Droskor had fought together and had gone through many ordeals together. Theodrex and Seyrak, on the other hand, have a very different relationship, where they were constantly disagreeing, and to be honest, due to Seyrak's vow of peace, had cost Theodrex, and had nearly cost him his life at a few stages. So they'd always argued about that, and now they found themselves arguing about this. It is then that Seyrak looks into the distance as they are walking, as night is beginning to fall. The monk looks into the distance and says, "Theodrex, I believe I owe you an apology." And Theodrex is like, he is very much used to the unyielding sort of calm and one-sidedness that this monk has. So to hear him say that he's going to offer an apology takes him aback. "Go on," says Theodrex. "I understand that my vow of peace, it is unmade." "How do you mean?" says Theodrex. "That day, many weeks ago now, when we fought in the market district, when we were separated, I sought help from an apothecary, and I had no means to pay him for his wares. A potion, it was the difference between life and death for me, and rather than accepting that I had got myself into that situation and those injuries were because of something that I had done, I could not accept it, and I struck him down." Theodrex sort of frowns, not even really daring to look at the monk as they're walking. "I see. You killed him?" "No," said Seyrak. "That is the very thing, and it is the thing that has undone my vow. It has made me see how blind I was." "Blind?" says Theodrex. "Yes. Sometimes I have to acknowledge that killing can be kinder. To kill can be right." Theodrex is sort of like freaking out at this point. Like, what is the monk talking about? What's he saying? "I see," says Theodrex, "but I mean, when I speak of that, I mean, like with the gnolls when we first arrived in this land. They are terrible creatures of evil that only live to destroy others. The same can't really be applied to... Oh God, what happened to him? I could not end his suffering. My vow prevented me from ending his suffering." So, as Seyrak has explained, Theodrex's eyes are just widening, like wider and wider, bigger than dish plates, like he's horrified because Seyrak admits how he had broken this individual and just left him paralyzed and comatose on the floor without putting him out of his misery, essentially. It is then revealed that Seyrak is essentially going through a crisis of faith. It is something that Mike had decided that he was going to work towards since that very event, since Seyrak had accidentally put that apothecary down in such a manner. And he's losing his shit. And this is all kind of like, admittedly, Theodrex always thought the monk was weird, but now there's like a real kind of worry and fear over the attitudes that this monk is displaying now. And in an attempt to smooth things over just for now, Theodrex just says, "When we arrive at the city, I'm sure that there is something we will be able to do. Perhaps the apothecary can be healed magically in some way, shape or form, but the monk is just shaking his head. I respect that there are many disciplines in this world, but I fear that that man will never return from his long sleep. And the reason he says that is because we had basically said that the damage to that apothecary, it was so severe, it was worse than death in his state. He would have been killed 10 times over, but because it was non-lethal, somehow the old man's body clings to life, which just is dreadful. It's a dreadful, dreadful thing, but that's what happened, and it was entirely randomly as well. So all of this fallout has occurred from just that one moment earlier in the game, much earlier in the game. The two travellers press on through the night, and it is only after a couple of days more travel they finally reach the Empirical, and they begin hunting down Star Thief, doing their best to try and locate where he is now that the guild no longer has like a public face. And soon, after a little bit of questioning of people that may have spotted this individual with striking long white hair and emerald green eyes, they are able to track him down. It's almost as if Star Thief has been waiting for them this entire time. He stands upon a rooftop, an open rooftop plaza sort of thing, and he's looking out towards the main citadel at the heart of the Empirical. This huge tower that rises high into the air at the very top of this floating city. "Welcome back, worthy disciples," he says with his arms open wide. It seems even more than ever, Star Thief's emerald green eyes seem to glow with a power that only now do TheWriter and TheWriter begin to fully notice. "Star Thief," says TheWriter, "we have discovered much on our recent journeys. We would talk with you." Star Thief smiles. "I am aware that you entered the Looking Glass." "Yes," says TheWriter, "we did." Star Thief smiles and looks down. "I respect you both and love you both dearly. If it were not for you spreading the message of Star Thief, this power to change the world would never be in my possession. It is regrettable that I had to deceive you, but you must understand that such power could be looked on by greedy eyes that would miss the true potential of this new blessing. This new blessing that can bring about a new age. This new blessing that can help all of those in need." "Stop right there, Star Thief. Just stop," says TheWriter. "Yes, you have deceived us, and you are forthcoming now, but I notice you have not addressed the issue of the portals opening within a number of different houses within the Noble District." Star Thief just looks at TheWriter coldly. We worked it out on our journey back to the Empirical. We understand that you must have needed these Imperials to be out of the way. So you used this star realm and this monster to cut them down so they wouldn't be a problem. Star Thief smiles. "Close. Very close, but not quite. You see, to bring about great change, there first must be conflict. Conflict is something that I've always wished to avoid. Killing can be such a nasty business, but in this case, it had to be done. It had to be done for certain Trials and tribulations must be faced by the people. So then they can see fully that when Star Thief rises above them to offer them salvation, they see what they could not see before. Hang on, says TheWriter. Do you mean to tell me that... Yes, says Star Thief. I engineered many of the quests that you went upon. I ensured that there were Imperial turncoats rebelling upon the borders. I ensured that there were bandits riding from the north. I ensured that there were threats of all natures about this realm for you to solve, for you to give hope to the people with. Even the gelatinous cube, says TheWriter. While yes indeed I had some hand in the events that were to play out across this realm, I was secure in the knowledge that I had two powerful heroes that would protect this realm and the people that dwell within it, all so that greater good can be instilled within Star Thief. The belief, the trust, the knowledge that someone is looking out for everyone within this realm. You're a psychopath, says TheWriter, looking at Star Thief. You are a psychopath. You cannot say that you are doing good simply because you cause ruin and destruction and then offer your hand to the poor people that have been oppressed and pushed down by those horrendous actions in the first place. Star Thief's expression doesn't even change. He's just staring at TheWriter and Sayrak, and he says, I offer you now a choice. What choice? Says TheWriter. There is no choice. You need to stop. You can't just engineer horrendous events just so you can say you then stop them. I can, says Star Thief, if it will ensure a better future for this place. Therefore, I offer this choice to you both now. It should not be for me alone to decide the outcome of this. After all, you are both my most trusted disciples, and you have gone forth into this land and made this happen. Without both of you, this wouldn't have happened. And so, if you truly wish for Star Thief, the power of Star Thief, of which both of you are now part of, to reign and bring peace and prosperity to this land, we have to acknowledge that one final sacrifice must be made. Sayrak says, what sacrifice? The Empire. It must be made to suffer. It has no place in the future of this world, and therefore it must be made to crumble. It must be made to fall. There is a powerful magical crystal within the heart of the citadel. It sits at the very top of the tallest tower. It is known as the Aurelius, colloquially known as a hover crystal. I've been working many days to ensure that the many magical safeguards around this crystal have been removed. All that will be required to bring this empirical crashing down out of the sky will be for one of you to remove it. And then the Empire will be dust. The symbol of Star Thief will paint the sky, and all will know that it is us that defeat this oppressive regime and bring freedom and a new age to this land. TheWriter draws his bow and takes a shot directly at Star Thief, but as the arrow is about to strike this white-haired individual, he is gone, as if teleported. TheWriter looks in horror to Sayrak, who is standing there quietly. We need to find him. We need to stop him. If what he says is true, all one of us needs to do is move that crystal. And the entire Empirical, the entire city filled with 1 million people will crash out of the sky into the ravine below. Sayrak looks to TheWriter and says, 1 million. 1 million people. Yes, says TheWriter. 1 million people. For the entire future of Main Realm. TheWriter looks puzzled, perplexed, horrified for a second. BAM! Sayrak swings around with a stunning fist, a new ability he unlocked on his most recent level up, smashes TheWriter right into the face, stunning him. Sayrak, with his increased movement speed, belts towards the door. Matt, who's playing TheWriter, gives a startled cry of outrage. "What are you doing?" he asks Mike. Mike has decided that because Sayrak has slowly been descending into madness all this time and just hasn't told TheWriter, he's decided that Sayrak likes the idea that Starthief has proposed. Starthief has proposed a change to the world. A change that Mike, as a player, likes the sound of. Ground rumbles beneath TheWriter's feet as he attempts to stagger outside, but already the monk is racing away, much too fast for TheWriter to catch up with. As TheWriter is staggering outside, he sees people running in panic in all directions. The ground rumbles again. Chimneys and slate-off roofs are falling from the tops of houses and crashing into the streets. He can hear children crying and old women weeping. He staggers as there is another rumble and he nearly falls over, desperately trying to pull himself up from the ground. He looks up and he sees Dracnis leaning upon a wall. "What is happening?" screams Saydrax above the din and chaos. Starthief is true to his word, says Dracnis. He has removed all of the magical barriers protecting the hover crystal. It need only be removed, and this entire place will fall into the ravine below. You need to stop him. How? Says Theodrax. And Sayrak, the crazy son of a bitch, he's gonna go and help him. He did seem a little strange to me, says Dracnis. How am I gonna get up there? He's too fast. Not faster than I, smiles Dracnis. And he reaches out with a hand to Theodrax. Sayrak is rushing as fast as he can, for he is determined. He is now set. He has a new purpose in life. He has felt lost. He has felt confused ever since that time weeks ago. Remember, in the campaign, he horribly put the apothecary down. From that moment, you know, it's been a slow burn where Sayrak has just had this crisis of faith. He's had this burning realization that something is wrong in the way that he's living his life. It isn't working for him anymore. And now, just a confused, slightly psychotic mess, he has decided that Starthief's plan is a good one. 1 million lives he will gladly pay to ensure the freedom and triumph of the rest of Main Realm. As people are panicked and rushing through the streets, Sayrak is able to dodge between guards and soldiers that are rushing out in an attempt to discover what the problem is. For only those seriously in the know could actually discover what the, is causing these seismic shakes throughout the city. What the people don't realise is that the huge rock platform that floats on which the city is built upon is beginning to destabilise. And soon, without assistance, that if that crystal at the top of the tower gets moved, bye-bye Empirical. The entire city will fall. So Seyrak is like just rushing through Imperial guards, smashing some of them out of the way, leaping into the air, sort of parkouring off like the citadel walls and stuff, and he hurls himself through an open window of the citadel and begins rushing up a spiral staircase in an attempt to get as close to the top as possible. Meanwhile, our vision moves back across the city to TheWriter, who is upon the back of Drachnus. This sends further panic into the streets of the Empirical, for now a giant dragon is flying above them, and it is a number of people down below probably blame the dragon for this this terrible fate, this seismic activity, like racking the city. Like, it's absolutely terrifying. If you've been in an earthquake, you understand what I mean. Now imagine that just continual, and it just doesn't stop. TheWriter is willing Drachnus to go faster and faster, the dragon climbing higher and higher and higher, and then they see it. TheWriter narrows his eyes and he sees that there is a figure standing upon the very top of the tower. It is Starthief, and he is looking upon a crystal that floats above a plinth at the very top of the tower. "What are we going to do?" says TheWriter to the dragon. "You need to be able to help me. Surely you can help me in a situation like this." Telepathically, the voice of Drachnus, emanating from his draconic form, whispers to TheWriter, "I shall handle this Starthief. It is down to you to ensure your friend does not touch that crystal." And so, dear viewers, we have set up something that I never believed was going to happen, nor had I really prepared for. Instead of TheWriter and Seyrak meeting with Drachnus at some point and uniting to tackle essentially an ascending god, now we have Drachnus and TheWriter versus Starthief and Seyrak in an ultimate PvP battle for the ages to determine the lives of 1 million people below. Hold your breath, guys. "Now!" Drachnus' voice echoes in TheWriter's mind, and the ranger hurls himself from the back of the dragon towards the tower, and he looses a shot at Starthief. Starthief looks up and just steps aside from the shot, but then in horror realizes that there is a dragon swooping down upon him as well. He tries to move, but already this colossal draconic creature lands hard upon him, its talons curling around Starthief and lifting into the air. As these two powerful entities go up, Drachnus is transforming back from his draconic form to look as a human. He's floating there in his long, majestic robes, and he fires up what appears to be a powerful spell, which he flings down at Starthief, who is desperately trying to counter. Meanwhile, TheWriter is upon the tower, and he can hear the soft tap, 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 tapping of a monk sprinting up a spiral staircase to the side of the tower. TheWriter takes in a deep breath, and Matt tells me all of the things that he is preparing from his equipment to ensure he can get the best shot on the monk possible. He tells me that he is equipping an alchemist's arrow, first of all, that he's going to randomly assign which time he shoots. He knows the monk can deflect arrows. He also takes a potion to enable him to boost his dexterity. Like, he's telling me all these things that TheWriter is doing to essentially ensure the fight is over quickly as possible. And knowing the fact that Seyrak doesn't know that TheWriter is waiting for him. Tap, 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 tap. He can hear the monk approaching faster and faster and faster. TheWriter equips one of the arrows, won't say which one just yet, into the into his aim, and he's just pointing it at the entryway to the staircase. And then all of a sudden, in a blur, Seyrak erupts from the darkness and instantly goes for a bicycle kick, and I say, gentlemen, roll initiative. As a courtesy to Matt's preparation, it was agreed that TheWriter would begin with the surprise round, and he looses his first shot, a shot that Seyrak immediately bats aside with a palm. TheWriter wins the initiative and goes first. He fires another shot. This is also parried by Seyrak, who is just lunging towards him with all of his power, all of his might, but this time Seyrak cannot block the following shot. TheWriter readies his alchemist arrow, which flies hard into the monk's chest. The arrow buries deep and then explodes, hurling the monk against the side of the battlements. TheWriter slides to the plinth on which this hover crystal is hovering above, and then looses another shot. The arrow slams into the side of the monk as he's lying, reeling upon the ground from the blast. "I won't let you do this, Seyrak!" TheWriter screams from across the battlements. Seyrak flips to his feet and slowly begins to prowl towards the ranger. "Don't get in the way, TheWriter. Don't take this from me." "Take what from you?" bellows TheWriter. "You're about to kill 1,000,000 people." 1,000,000 people. To overthrow the empire that will rule over hundreds of millions of people for thousands of years to come. "You don't know that!" screams TheWriter. "You don't know what the future holds!" But Seyrak isn't listening, and it's his turn. He lunges at TheWriter, who defensively raises a hand to try and stop the monk. The monk's first attack, Mike denotes, is going straight for TheWriter's bow. Seyrak just smashes through TheWriter's trusty bow with one swipe of his hand. The spring just flicks and the weapon falls uselessly to the ground. TheWriter looks on in horror as the monk spins around and delivers a powerful kick right to the side of his face. TheWriter coughs blood as he hits the ground, as Seyrak rises into the air and delivers a crushing knee down upon the ranger. TheWriter does not allow a groan of pain to escape him as the monk shatters half of his ribcage with his knee. He manages to pull free his long sword and gives a desperate swipe at Seyrak, who ducks almost effortlessly behind the first attack. But TheWriter has seen him do this before and is ready, and he brings another uppercut, swinging with the long sword, cutting up Seyrak's chest. The monk staggers back, surprised from the ranger's wily moves, and then TheWriter stabs forth with the long sword, and it plunges deep into the side of the monk. This goes back and forth for some time. As in terms of PvP, I was surprised it lasted as long as it did. My money very much, I'm afraid, on Seyrak the monk, who, let's face it, is entirely trained for this purpose, getting in close and beating the hell out of TheWriter. However, Seyrak has something else on his mind, something that is distracting him from purely attacking TheWriter. The monk hurls towards the crystal in an attempt to grab it. I tell Mike that he has to make a fortitude save to reach into the powerful matrix holding this crystal up, the pillar of which is keeping this entire city afloat. Seyrak begins reaching in, desperately trying to grab hold of the crystal, and Matt declares that TheWriter is going to straight bull rush the monk from behind. TheWriter tackles Seyrak to the ground and brings the pommel of his sword smashing into the monk's face, and he brings up the sword again. Seyrak is able to bat the sword from TheWriter's hand and kicks the ranger off. TheWriter lands hard on his back. The wind is knocked out of him. The ranger is beginning to falter. He looks up to the sky to see Dracnus and Starthief locked in an epic spellcasting duel high above the tower. It would seem that Dracnus actually has superiority over Starthief, who, while an ascending god, hasn't quite fully ascended yet. TheWriter knows that he's running out of time, and he looks in horror as, once again, Seyrak is reaching into that magical matrix to try and pull the crystal free. TheWriter knows that there's no other choice, and he pulls his dagger, his last remaining weapon, on his person, and rushes the monk once again. Rising up, he delivers a critical strike, pushing the dagger hard into Seyrak's diaphragm. The monk gives a howl of pain as TheWriter delivers this terrifying strike to the midriff. But it isn't enough. Seyrak whirls about and delivers 3 stunning attacks against the ranger, once, twice, 3 times, battering the ranger down to his knees. As it's back around to TheWriter's turn, Matt rolls a fortitude saving throw to see if TheWriter can resist the stunning effect of Seyrak's attack. And he fails. TheWriter is stunned, which does mean he misses his turn. So as Seyrak looks down upon the ranger, who cannot bring his senses together, he reaches once again into that magical matrix and, screaming with the agony, is able to wrap his hand around the crystal and pull it forth from the matrix. Everything seems to stand still for a moment. And there's no fanfare. There's no eruption of magical power. There is just silence as the empirical begins to fall. People, men, women, children in the streets find that they are suddenly weightless. Buildings begin shattering and lifting up as if parts of them are attached to strings from where they once stood for so many years, but this whole colossal structure, this gigantic fortress city, begins tumbling out of the sky. TheWriter is able to come round out of his stunning effect to see Seyrak is just looking around him with this blissful expression on his face, and the ranger realizes that he has failed. TheWriter has failed. 1 million people are going to die, and now there is nothing there is nothing he can do to stop it. But he can get even. He pulls himself up, desperately trying to get towards Seyrak, and delivers a final attack, slicing at the monk. Blood is drawn, and the monk just stands there for a moment, looking at TheWriter. And again, even to my dismay, as a dungeon master who should be impartial, I felt awful, because TheWriter, at the end at least, was trying to do the right thing, but it wasn't enough. Seyrak wheels about and kicks TheWriter hard in the chest, and the ranger falls from the battlements. We see TheWriter tumbling over and over and over, but he smiles. Matt had told me that he wanted to do one thing as he approached the monk. He wanted to roll a sleight of hand. And as Seyrak, falling, reaches towards his belt, he realizes that something is missing on his person. Seyrak realizes that while TheWriter made that stabbing attack, he'd never intended to hit. TheWriter wanted to ensure that the scepter of Starthief was on his possession. Seyrak looks down in horror as TheWriter, disappearing into the destruction of a city, tumbling out of the sky into the abyss. You can see, clutched within the ranger's hand, is the scepter. And Seyrak realizes that without the symbol of Starthief shining in the sky, this is just going to look like an accident. This is going to look like a disaster. Seyrak's actions mean nothing. High above in the air, as the city is tumbling into darkness, Drachnus finally overpowers Starthief, seizing this long-haired, white-haired individual. His emerald eyes are wide with fear, as while Starthief is powerful, Drachnus is something else entirely, and he snaps his neck with a jerk of the hand and just lets the would-be god tumble after the ruins of the city. Looking down as the debris is still crashing downwards, Drachnus can see that Seyrak is attempting to escape. Mike has no intention of letting his new favourite character die, despite him being terribly, terribly evil. He wishes to ensure that Seyrak can use his slow fall ability, which is something the monk can use. He's jumping from debris to try and clear the abyss. And Seyrak makes a lunging jump, but something grabs hold of him. Drachnus has seized the monk with telekinetic power and lifts him up to face him. The monk just looks blank. It was all for nothing. Yes, says Drachnus as he casts Disintegrate on Seyrak. And then the monk is nothing but ash. The Empirical is nothing but dust. And Theodrax is nothing but bones. So this story comes to an end abruptly and devastatingly. I had not prepared for such an eventuality, but I suppose that is the beauty of this game. The beauty of this game is that anything can happen, and once a choice was given to one of the players, he decided to exercise his freedom to take it. Mike decided to take that decision because he decided that's what his character was going through. It caused many heated debates and many arguments amongst us all around the table, but it transpired that the campaign known as Starthief came to an end when the Empirical came crashing down, the heart of the Empire. This shook the fabric of our shared setting. The Empire now had no capital and indeed lost a massive amount of forces that day. But something else, which was more of a loss to all of us really around the table, was not the loss of the Empire, not the loss of the Empirical, but the loss of Theodrax, a character who had been with us from the very beginning. And now with Seyrak no longer an ally, dead, and Drachnus vanishing in a blast of magical light, there was none to resurrect him. And so comes to an end the tragic tale of Starthief. I hope you've enjoyed this story arc. It was a pretty crazy game, and it had some very weighty and complex themes about belief and how gods are created and stuff. I needed to really just tell you the highlights to make it fit in 4 parts. Maybe I'll go back and do an abridged version or something, but for the time being, that's how it went down. Literally. So, thank you ever so much for watching. Next time will be a brand new story. We will return to Valdane. Now he is the only original character left on the playing field. We'll be meeting new characters with new horizons, new quests, and new villains to face. Take it easy, and of course, keep gaming.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the D&D Stories Facebook, Patreon, and t-shirts on Redbubble. Keep gaming!